Hello everyone, Mr. Parenti here to explain the concept of idioms. Now, of course, the definition that was highlighted on the previous screen were phrases people use in everyday language which do not make sense literally, but we understand what they mean. However, often the best way to understand idioms is through hearing, seeing, and understanding the multitude of examples that are out there. Now, as we all know, the literal meanings of the words used within the idiom are often drastically different than the actual intended meaning. This is often why people can be confused when they hear an idiom for the first time. So I'll show you some of the common idioms and their literal meaning, and then translate it into the actual intended meaning. Enjoy. Now the first example we're going to look at is cat got your tongue. Now of course if we were to look at this literally, it would be very much similar to this image we're looking at right now. The fact that a cat is either reaching or grabbing someone's tongue. But the magic of the idiom and the meaning of the idioms hints at the interpretation being that someone is having difficulty saying what they actually mean, or they are stumbling over their words, much like I'm doing right now. Now the second example we're going to look at is cash cow, as you can see by this image. Now if we were to take a literal meaning once again, it would be a cow that is full of money, or some type of farm animal that has lots of money. However, of course, the idiom intends it to mean, when we use it in everyday language, it means something that we think is going to make us a lot of money. Now the next example we're going to look at is it's raining cats and dogs. This is a rather common one, and of course the image suggests the literal meaning, which is that there are actual felines and dogs falling from the skies rapidly. However, of course, the meaning that we often intend it to be is that it's raining rather heavily outside. The next example we're going to look at is dog eat dog. Now, it could mean the literal version, like you're seeing on the screen, which means a dog feeding on its own species or that it's cannibalistic. However, of course, we use it in today's society, in today's world, to describe that our world is rather competitive. Now the next example we're going to look at is icing on the cake. Now as the picture represents the literal meaning, such as the topping on a cake, or something you apply to a cake to make it even sweeter, the idiom implies that we have made a situation even better, or made a situation even worse. As in the example, I got 100 on my test, but the bonus points were an icing on the cake, meaning you've improved the situation of your test score. The next example we're going to look at is cry over spilt milk. Now the literal meaning would be very much similar to this cartoon we're looking at. The fact that someone is literally getting upset because milk has spilt onto a surface or table or out of the container it was meant for. However, the idiom and figurative meaning and true meaning that we often use it with is that we are becoming upset by something that cannot be undone, something that it has been done and cannot be reversed. Okay, here are my final thoughts on the subject of idioms. I guess you could say this is the last straw of the video, and then we'll let sleeping dogs lie. I'm sure a bunch of you were hoping that I'd make a long story short, but I digress. However, there is a method to my madness, because after all, we do need to know about idioms for the current text we're reading. And of course, I don't want any of us to miss the boat. Hopefully by the end of this video, hopefully by the end of this lesson for sure, you consider idioms to be a piece of cake. And then you'll be on the ball. So, I guess you could say essentially, the next time you hear an idiom, take it with a grain of salt. Finally, I think the overall purpose for evaluating idioms is to hear something straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. That being Mark Twain, of course. And then finding the idioms and interpreting their meaning within our text, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Thank you everyone for watching.